the Way of Mercy is not a healing subclass, at least not entirely a healing subclass. The flavor text states that it is a class that's about healing, yes, but also sometimes when the person is too far gone, they will end their life as an act of mercy. And the problem with this is the flavor text, at least, has some instances where it looks like you can be totally good, but no, this is somebody who is master of life and death. So in the flavor text, it says that some are gentle-voiced healers and beloved by the community, and others are bringers of macabre medicines. The gentle-voiced healers would be the ones who use their ki for healing, but they also have abilities that allow them to harm people. I feel like those need to be taken out, and there's also like the merciful mask, which is a really cool concept where if you choose a mask that represents your personality, one of them is a butterfly. No, the butterfly is too nice for this. The skull is much better, or the raven. That's pretty good. I almost forgot to mention, but the channel is called Intelligence 14 Wisdom 2. Might be interesting later on. So what I'm doing right here is I'm going to review the stuff based on the themes of the subclass, the flavor text, how it works in terms of the broad, what does this feel like, and then I'm going to go back and talk about the mechanics and the damage and things like that. So the implements of mercy. This is going to, this gives you proficiency in insider medicine, which is, interesting. The two options, so that if you already chose one, you aren't out of luck. But also the insight is interesting because you're I guess determining who needs mercy and who needs not, maybe. And then also you gain proficiency in herbalism and the poisoner's kit. So the herbalism kit allows you to make make potions of healing and antitoxins, which is actually fairly useful and something I don't see a lot, mostly because we don't tend to get people, dealing with snake bites and things like that. And then the poisoner's kit helps you make poisons. And some people say, well, why not the healer's kit? But the healer's kit is stabilization, and with the feat, it's some hit points. Whereas the healer's kit is more, you're preparing stuff that you later use in combat. So it's making potions to help you in combat as opposed to stabilizing stuff. You're using the ki for the quick healing. And that hands of healing, it's very similar to the martial arts, except it uses the wisdom modifier, so the power of your ki. It maybe looks like punching, or maybe just like, you just touch, just like, boom, now you're healed, or close, and then the wounds are gone, something like that. Since ki is like a life force that surrounds us, binds us, and penetrates and binds the universe together, ki is something that we've seen it, you can manipulate it to harm somebody, as we'll also see later. But this is the inverse of it, where you're manipulating to heal somebody, which I think is a valid use of ki. We do actually have a couple instances where monks can heal themselves, so it's not. So this is a very ki type of thing. Then Hands of Harm is an ability where you can deal more damage to somebody. You can do extra damage on a person, but you can deal more damage if they're disadvantaged, if they're incapacitated, so if they've been stunned or if they've been poisoned. So this is you're taking advantage of their weakness to deliver a crushing blow. This is, I guess, a death stroke, right? Just, please die now. It's merciful for you to die. Let's get it over with, kind of thing. And then Noxious Aura, so Noxious Aura allows you to put a 5 feet aura around you, not like a paladin aura, but just you basically smell really bad. And with this feature, you're kind of committed to the idea of your life and death, as opposed to, like, say you're you want to play a fully good kind of life cleric only as a monk. Then your third level features, you could just use the healing stuff, but now certainly you're not getting a feature if you try to go for the just healing. So anyways, the toxic aura is 5 feet around you and imposes disadvantage on ranged attacks and poisons other people. I don't get why it's, ranged attacks. It doesn't make sense that it's ranged attack because it's not. There's no limit on how far the ranged attacks are, and if it's a toxic aura that's primarily 5 feet around you, if you stink of death or something like that, or your key stinks, and I don't think it would be ranged attacks. I think it would just be maybe it's attack rolls, but people can make saving throws to become poisoned in here, or they don't want to, but they have to make saving throws or become poisoned. So that's how it would be the disadvantage on attacks. The range, maybe the stink is so thick that it forms a barrier in the air. I don't know. The range attack is just a bit tacked on. And then other people have pointed out on Reddit that the poison damage every round is not merciful. It's not quick and painless. It's poisoning people and for extended periods of time. Yeah, that does make sense. I'm not sure what I would do. I might even get rid of this feature entirely. Then healing technique at 11th level, you get to remove some conditions. Paladins get this ability at a bit higher levels to action to remove certain conditions. Or is it the lay on hand that allows them to do it? Anyways, and then I think monks can do it to themselves. Yeah, monks can do this to themselves. And actually, it's very specific about what things can be affected. So blinded, deafened, paralyzed, or poisoned, things that are affecting the body. Blind, deaf, paralyzed, and then poisoned, as opposed to maybe frightened, charmed, or stunned. So these are very physical. Your body is out of whack. Your system is out of whack. So I like that it's not just you can remove a condition. No, this is very, you're resetting the key in your ally's body, which I think is very smart the way they've put it all together. The last ability had Hands of Mercy. This is you're putting them in a state of suspended animation. You can't heal them anymore as they're dying. You say, you know what? Pound. Now we have some time. It's gonna be a lot of days. It is equal to your level, so they're gonna be there a while at 17th level when you get it. So you're gonna have plenty of time to rush over to the kingdom, grab some supplies, rush back, or make some more checks to find stuff, and that will help you make the poison, the antidote, or the potion of healing, or you just need a long rest to regain key points so you can heal them, something like that. Now, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about on this feature, but that's going to be in the mechanical section of the review, which we are going to go to right about now. But first, I gotta get this stuff all put away because I just had an amazing session, which reminds me I have to post more campaign diaries. But anyways, let's get back to the video. So let's actually start with Hands of Harm, because Hands of Healing is pretty basic in terms of mechanics. You're just trading one key point to do, negative damage to your allies as opposed to doing damage to your enemies. Anyways, but Hands of Harm is more interesting. Now, the ability to spend a key point to add your martial arts damage to your attack. Additionally, that actually doesn't increase your damage output that much. In fact, it actually kind of decreases it, because you could use that key point to instead do Flurry of Blows for an extra attack, and do that plus the Dexterity modifier attack damage. So this is actually slightly worse with the just attacking with the martial arts die. Don't get me wrong, it's still pretty good damage if you land it, but the real power comes in when your opponent is incapacitated or poisoned. And incapacitated is something that happens when a number of things. I think it's when they're unconscious and when they're stunned are the primary ways that somebody would be incapacitated. So you punch, you use your stunning strike, and then you use this feature to do a lot more damage. Or when they're poisoned, which will come up at level 6. But right now, just anytime they're poisoned, maybe you use your Poisoner's Kit. You knew that you were going to be fighting this person eventually, so you poisoned them, and then you fought them, and that's when you do the damage. This makes your stunning strikes even more devastating because you have an increased chance to hit, and you have more damage, which potentially could turn into a big, massive crit. So in terms of combat application, the healer subclass is actually much better at damaging than healing. It needs to do more. I think it needs to do more in terms of healing output, and instead of damage output. But anyways, moving on to Noxious Aura. This is, again, you stink, or your key stinks or something like that. And so what happens is somebody within 5 feet they make a con save or they become poisoned, and that lasts until the end of your next turn. So you can get your Hands of Harm feature in with that. Now I should mention it's kind of weird when they're poisoned, when they're not. They make the saving throw at the start of their turn when they're within 5 feet of you, but it ends at the end of your turn, meaning there is the space between the start of the end of your turn and the start of their turn, wherein they could make opportunity attacks or reaction abilities as normal, but they are still in the poison cloud. So I'd say at the start of each of their turns, they make a save to shrug off the effects. I think that's been done with most spell abilities, particularly the ones that cripple you, which poison kind of does. It gives them disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. You don't have advantage, but it's a debuffer for them, not a buffer. Now let's move on to the healing technique, which you get at, I think, 11th level. This is an increased effect of your healing hands, or hands of healing. Those conditions don't come up as often as other conditions, which other classes can, which the paladin and you can remove, at least on yourself, for free. Whereas this, you already need to do the key point to do the healing. It's kind of better. I just feel like maybe I think it's just lacking because the healing itself is lacking. It's just a D8 at this point or something like that. And then the last feature we have, this one actually doesn't do what it's supposed to. So what it does do is it gives you the person immunity to all damage. They're paralyzed, but none of the debuffers matter to them because they're immune to all damage, and they are not affected by any curses or anything. So you could use this to actually for really useful things like you do this on a lycanthrope. You can't use it on multiple lycanthropes, but on one lycanthrope, and during the moon cycle or whatever, they go insane, and you're suppressing the effect of the curse so they don't become rampant. So that's really useful. And also another thing you can do is you can use this on enemies, but you could also do this on somebody who's, they're probably going to die if you don't, give them immunity to all damage. Like, you could put them back up with some healing. We could collaborate, throw some healing words on them, but they are going, with all the damage being thrown around, they're not going to be able to survive, so this is the way to keep their character alive. Yes, you're going to be out of the combat, which is bad, but Dave, do you want your fighter to live? Okay then. Now, I forgot to mention to explain what I meant when I said at the beginning of the review of this feature that it doesn't do the thing that it's supposed to do. I think this thing is supposed to stop you from dying. Like, this should be you do this thing on them, you slap them with the coma, and they stop making death saving throws, but it never says that. Which leads me to believe that they would continue to make death saving throws because that's not damage, that is a saving throw against death. So, I would say that you need to, it needs to be reworded, well not reworded, just add a little bit after the curses, diseases, and poisons, and you stop making death saving throws if you are currently making them, keeping the fails and the successes that you have had so far. And for my final thoughts, I just want to reiterate this is not a healer subclass. This is a life and death subclass. It's actually more powerful for the death kind of thing, which, not that it's a bad thing, like, it's got really good, synergy with its other class abilities and its higher level abilities, which is good. The healing part is a little bit lackluster. Feel like there should be more to that. Maybe a special condition, like you do that and then they make a wisdom saving throw, try to control themselves, and then that augments the healing that you do to them, or something like that. As for whether I like it, whether I would allow it in my games, yeah, it's if somebody knows they want to play black and white, they want to play balance, then that. But if not, if they want to play a healer monk, gotta look for something different. So if you like this in-depth review of where I'm going through and I'm looking at the mechanics and how do they interact, are they powerful, are they not, are they too powerful, are they underpowered, things like that, then I think you'll like the rest of my Unearthed Arcana reviews where I do the same thing for the rest of the Unearthed Arcana. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to complete all the rest of the Unearthed Arcana, the Oath of the Watcher and the Genie Patron, because one, there's going to be more coming out, and two, I gotta work on other projects, the other stuff that's the main part of my channel, which is the intellectual discussion around D&D. So if any of those sound interesting to you, then I think you know what to do with the big red button down there.